In November 2018, 4 Vietnamese children were reported missing within days of being placed into council care in the southeast. Over the years, I'd seen many such cases involving this particular nationality. I wanted to establish the scale of the problem by using the Missing People website. I was shocked to discover half the children listed as missing in the southeast were Vietnamese. This proportion was similar across the UK. So, where have they all gone, and why have they gone missing from care? To find that out, I'm going to try and track down where all the Vietnamese children are coming from. I'd heard about reports of Vietnamese gatherings in a camp in an old coal mining town in the north of France, Angers, so I set off to see what I could find out. In 2010, local hikers discovered a number of Vietnamese nationals living in the ruins of a disused coal mining camp located in a forest just outside the village. It became known as Vietnam City. Many of the locals embraced the unusual migrants, helping them with clothing, food and other necessities. Well, this is where Vietnam City used to stand. But it looks like I'm a little bit late. We've just found out that it was completely knocked down by the local prefecture a few months ago. Now I've got to find out where they've moved to. Benoit Dec is the spokesperson for the group that formed in order to help the Vietnamese and has worked with them for more than 10 years.
Vietnam City was a camp that had been here for 8 years, where some Vietnamese migrants between 20 and 200 used to live. There was a house, a warehouse, a few toilets, a few showers, even a garden with some vegetables, and a few hens they could eat.
The local authority ordered the destruction of the camp last year, so the Vietnamese suddenly moved to a new site about 45 kilometres away. And I've come to an area that Benoit's told me is near the motorway and is where the Vietnamese have moved to. And it's in this copse here, so let's see what we can find. The camp seems well organised, well constructed and has a kitchen area, accommodation, toilet and shower. A colleague of Benoit's is here too. Lucille Valin is also part of the collective.
Here is the new camp, Vietnam City. It's growing a lot. 15 days ago, the house wasn't there. I know some people that I'm sure I've seen in the other camp.
Now, this camp is unusual because, unlike other migrant camps across the north of France, its occupants are solely Vietnamese and male. The site has been chosen for its proximity to a lorry park, allowing the Vietnamese a regular shot at smuggling themselves across the channel. This is the last staging post between them and their final destination, the UK. They've paid substantial amounts to people smugglers to get to this point.
I have a contact in the UK, and she introduced me to someone who's said to be ready to go immediately on a particular day. I paid them so they could get me here. I paid $16,000.
Huang has tried to get to the UK before and failed, but he's determined to make it.
One time I took a lorry to Belgium, but thought it was England and got arrested when I jumped off.
When does he next try to go to England?
Maybe today or tomorrow. I never give up.
Is this where some of our missing Vietnamese children are passing through? We arranged to meet Lucille back at our hotel to see if she recognised anyone from the missing person posters. Well, Lucille's still going through the photos of the missing, but she's definitely spotted 2 faces that jumped out at her. And this boy passed through the camp here in France. She remembers his face. She's 100% positive. That night I drove to the lorry park about 2 kilometres from the new Vietnam City. I wanted to see how easy it would be for the Vietnamese to break into lorries. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to park up and see whether we can catch the Vietnamese immigrants trying to get on lorries for either New Haven or Dover. What strikes me about this lorry park is the lack of security. No guards, no CCTV, and very poor lighting. I was able to move freely and unchallenged around the trucks. Well, I've just seen about 20 shadows, really, coming through the woods. And then they just disappeared. So, obviously, there's a lot of lorries here, so it's perfect pickings for them. Sure enough, there's a lot of activity around the trucks. When I spot some movement behind a UK-registered lorry, I move in for a closer look and discover that its locks have been tampered with. Many of these lorries will be headed to Calais, a well-established route for those looking to cross illegally to the UK. But there is another, less-known option, Dieppe. And it's from Dieppe that children, whose story sparked my investigation, were smuggled, hidden in the back of a lorry on a ferry to the Sussex port of New Haven. The Dieppe-New Haven ferry docked. The 11 Vietnamese children were escorted off the boat by immigration officers and social workers, and they were then placed into care locally. Within days, 4 had vanished. No money, very little English, and with only the clothes on their back. Where did they go? Vietnamese make up the largest group of foreign nationals under the age of 18 who are suspected of being trafficked in the UK. ECPAT is a charity that works to protect children from trafficking. They say that despite being placed into local authority care, many go back to the traffickers because they fear the consequences of not repaying their debt. They also say more needs to be done.
Well, for a long time now, the Vietnamese going missing has been a huge issue. So we would say that lots of these are potential victims of trafficking. Children or young people coming here are obviously indebted to the traffickers, so they're being told, you have to pay back this debt. And so that's a massive pull, because obviously they're fearful of, if they don't pay this debt, that they're going to be in trouble or their families are going to be in trouble.
Is our system failing miserably?
Obviously, there's massive resource issues, and social workers have high caseloads, and it's very difficult to deal with lots of these children when they're coming in high numbers, but it is a failure. These are children.
We asked the Department for Education to comment, and they gave us this statement.
The safety of children is paramount, and any child going missing from home or care is of serious concern. We require all care placements to have clear procedures in place to prevent children from going missing. Local authorities must be informed if a child in care is missing so they can take appropriate action.
When we were talking to the boys and men in France, all of them pretty much said, through the translator, they want to work in a nail bar. Why nail bars?
So there's a huge network of Vietnamese nail bars that have been set up in the UK. So they've kind of got a hold on that side of the market. So it's easily exploitable by traffickers.
In 2016, the police suspected that a Vietnamese-run nail bar was exploiting children. It resulted in the first successful prosecution under the Modern Slavery Act 2015, which involved children. Erin Cutliff was the lead prosecutor for the case and is well aware of the scale of the problem.
There is massive money in people smuggling. You're talking about full-on, organised, planned criminality with massive amounts of money, and the human beings that are being shuffled around to meet the needs of the criminality. Those human lives, they're just an asset. They're an expensive asset, but they're just an asset. And I think any crime that can treat a human like that really is a serious crime.
Is it just like 100 kids that you suspect are in this country or more?
No, there is masses. Hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, I would hazard a guess at.
Children?
Yes.
Judging by the numbers we saw at Vietnam City, and with more still expected to arrive there, this is a problem that could get a lot worse unless appropriate measures are taken soon.